folks, Assalamu alaikum. I'm Mohammed Shahriar al and in this video we will learn about IAM roles and some tools which we can use to know the specific roles to be assigned to certain people. Okay. But earlier in the videos or in the playlist, you may have learned about access keys and how we can use that to get access to a certain IAM account. Okay, you may learn about that so far. So let's get started about the IAM roles for the services. And if you haven't checked out the previous videos, feel free to check that out from the playlist. Okay, so now talking about the IAM roles for services, here you can see that EC2 instance. Okay, we haven't worked with EC2 instances so far. Okay, we may work on it in our later videos. So assume that you want this a service like EC2 instance or EC2, whatever you call it. Obviously within EC2 we have EC2 instances, so you want this EC2 instance to be to work. Okay, and you want it to work with certain AWS services from your account. Obviously AWS has lots of services, right? So that means that this EC2 instance has to contact, okay, with a service from AWS. Okay. Now the question is, assume that when we created the IAM account, what happened? When we created an IAM account, what happened was we mentioned which particular services that IAM account can access, right? That is a situation. Okay. Now talking about this EC2 instance also, when it this EC2 instance or EC2, this service needs to contact with another service, it obviously needs some permission, just like the IAM user. That's why we assign some IAM role to it. So in general, when you work with the services and others, automatically the role is assigned, but so you don't need to work on it, but you can also manually assign that, right? So this is what you can do. So that's what we have. We can see an IAM role can be assigned to a service, and then that service can actually contact with AWS for some permission about a service or whatever it requires. So here this image shows that assume the scenario that you have an EC2 instance and it needs to work with certain thing, and we just solve the problem using IAM role. That's it. So now obviously that's the point. Now let's talk about how we can actually I would say is how we can solve this issue, or how we can assign roles using IAM. Okay, now if I'm now here in admin ID, but I can also go to this dev one, no problem with that. Let's go for the IAM. Great. Now head into the IAM. If we just look into this IAM, you can see we have roles, right? That's great. So you can see there are lots of roles here, like AWS service role for code start notification, role for computer optimizer, role for ECS, and so on, right? There are lots of roles, and you can see those are like 545 days ago and so on. That means like when I was basically using this account, and obviously it's this dev1 account. If you just look into this dev1 IAM user, I did create this one actually when I started this series, but before that I've been using my account, obviously. So when I was using these services, these roles were created. Okay, so you can see it's almost 905 days ago. There's some survey, some roles, the 545 days ago, and so on, right? These were created, and this were basically created within my main actually account, right? And those are actually pasted in this dev1 user as well. And if you want to verify, you can go to here, and this is admin ID. And if I go to IAM, you can see is what you can see is we have roles. Great. And here you can see that these roles are exactly the same, 545 days ago, 517, and so on. Okay, so we can get access to it. Now assume that I just want to create a role here, so let's press this one, create one. And now the thing is, there are lots of ways we can create an AWS or a role. So like for, as I mentioned here, you can see that for EC2 instance to be connected with AWS account, for EC2 instances to be connected with this one, no. So here we can create the a role here, obviously. So you can see for AWS service, you can create the role for AWS service, for AWS account, web identity, SML to federation or custom trust policy. But our main goal is to actually create the role for AWS service, obviously. Okay, just to verify this one, let's go here. You can see here for this EC2 instance, obviously this is an AWS service. So we want to create a role for this AWS service, and yeah, that's it. Okay, now we're here and you can see AWS service. So let's just please choose one. There are lots of services here. Let's pick this EC2, obviously for the EC2. Now choose a use case for the specified service. Use case EC2. Okay, EC2 role for AWS System Manager, EC2 Spot Fleet, EC2 Spot Fleet Schedule instances. No, just EC2. Now here you can see again we need to provide some permissions, and that's the point. The IAM role we have, obviously the role has to be assigned with some sort of permissions, and which we have done for IAM accounts so far. But now for a particular role we also need to provide some sort of permissions. So assume the EC2 instance we have, and we are giving this EC2 instance the permission to contact with maybe DevOps tools, right? So we need to provide that kind of permissions, right? But for this one, like just assume we want this EC2 instance to contact with AIOps read-only access. Okay. Okay, great, no problem with that, we can do that. And you can see that this is the JSON file for this policy. Now interestingly, as mentioned, the version has to start with 2012 dash then 10 then 17. Great. Then also mention that there can be statement, obviously there will be statement and can be multiple statements. So there is any statement within that you can see effect is allow. So we haven't created, or we haven't written this JSON file, right? But we just manually choose the options, and this was generated. And this is an easy format for us to understand what we have actually created, or what we are actually what permissions we are giving, right? So you can see effect is allow. That means we want something to be allowed. Now action is basically the API keys and others you want to be allowed or denied. So here you can see in actions, so you can see assume role. So that's an interesting thing, because this is not like the IAM roles, not like the IAM user accounts, because when we are using IAM user accounts something, we do assign some roles, some permissions and policies with it. So those policies are not same as this. Here you can see it's assume role, something like it's assumed, right? Because this policy does belong to some sort of service, not a user. Okay, assume role. Now the principle is something like I did mention, like the principle actually has the list of all of the users or services you want to mention. Okay, so here you can see the service is ec2.amazonaws.com. So that mentions that this specific policy belongs related to EC2 service. Okay, now let's press this one, create role. Sorry, we missed the name. So let's just give it a name, demo EC2 practice role. Can we use that? Yes, we can. So done. You can see this is the one, demo EC2 practice. So if you just look into here, you can see the AIOps read-only access has been provided for this role. And yeah, that's it. That's that's for our IAM role. Now let's get back to the another topic, which is IAM security tools. So what kind of security tools we have for this IAM ones? So here you can see we have IAM credential report, right? And we can also have IAM last accessed. Okay, these are the things. Now IAM credential report, which is account level report, and IAM last accessed is basically user level information. So let me just tell you what happens here. So IAM credential report is something like you will from your AWS account or IAM account, you can just go for here if you have the permission. Obviously you have to go to the IAM and go for this one, credential report, and you can download the credential report. So into the credential report, what you will get is you will get all of the information for all of the IAM accounts, obviously. So in general, you need to, like, if you want to get access to this IAM like credential report, you need to have access as an admin or IAM. Obviously you need to have the permission for the IAM, obviously, right? Okay, so in the download credential report, what you will have as a whole, just to verify, assume we have two IAM users, right? Admin ID and dev1, right? So in the download credential report, we will have all of the information for that the two accounts, like when these accounts were created, when was it was the last time that they actually changed their passwords, and many more. Okay, if they have enabled their multi-factor authentication or not, this kind of information should be there. And again, talking about IAM last access, which is user level, that means it only provides information for a particular user. Okay, so what you have to do, what we need to do, like we need to choose a particular IAM user, and then we need to go for here last accessed. So here if you go there, what we can see is, we can see basically the permission, basically all of the permission that has been used so far. So assume that you have a friend whose name is Karim, and you have provided him multiple permissions, right? But he only uses one or two permissions. So you can actually see which permission was accessed or used. That means it will help you basically choose which permissions are unnecessary, which should be removed. That's it. So this is a very helpful tool as a whole. Now let's try to look into that from the accounts. Okay, now if we just look into here, what we can see is we're here for the dev1. So let's go for the IAM, go for the users, go for the dev1 here. Okay, we are just looking for the last access one. So you can see for this dev1, if we just press this last access, you can see review this data to remove unused permissions. That's what we did mention. So here you can see these were the permissions, these are the permissions basically that are used here, used today. But if you can filter, you can see services not accessed. That means I've been given this permission, I have the permission, but I haven't used the service, and so on. You can see WSAP app2 container, this service I didn't use. Now you can say, like, I have the administrator access, as I have, as this dev1 IAM account has been given has been provided the administrator access. This account can get access to most of the actually services, or you can say all of the services. So one of those are AWS AP, app2 container, Alexa for business, and so on, right? So these services were not accessed, and this permission was given that allowed us to access this one, but I didn't use it so far. So you can see not accessed in the tracking period, not accessed. Great. Okay, but service accessed, you can see these are the services like AWS account management, AWS security hub, AWS free tier, Amazon EC2, AWS IAM identity center, AWS organizations, AWS user notifications. These were used, and these basically belong to the administrator access. Okay, so you can see, like this dev1 profile has been permitted with administrator access, and this service is something that can be accessed, and I've used that, but I haven't used this one. Okay, using this one. So this is for the last accessed one. Now another thing is, from the IAM we can get access to this credential report. Okay, so you can download these credentials. Okay, now here we are in the credential report. If we just look into it, if you just zoom in a bit, so you can see we have the root account. We have the root account, obviously I mentioned. We have the main account, then within that we have two actually IAM accounts, like admin ID, dev. So obviously user created in which date, it was in 2021, and the admin ID was created in 2024. The dev one is on 2026. So the password is there, yes, true, and password MFA is created. Yes, I mean multi-factor authentication is enabled for root account and admin ID, not for dev one, and so on, right? These are the information you can just learn. So yeah, that's I believe that should be something we can learn from this video. So we have just learned about IAM roles. We have learned about services to know, or tools to understand certain services, or the IAM roles. Okay, which permission IAM account needs or is a must. Okay, these kind of things we have learned, and what kind of things, like as an admin, obviously assume that you are the admin and you want to know, like you have created multiple hundreds of IAM accounts, and you given to the hundreds of the developer you have in your company. Now after certain period you want to know, like which of them, like maybe 50 of them, or how many of them have actually enabled the multi-factor authentication or has been using the account, and so on. So you need to get the report, and this is what you get from the basically credential report. And if you want to know about how or which permission is required and which permission is not, you have to go for this last access one individually. Okay, so yeah, that's it for our IAM video, and from our next video we'll focus on EC2 instance and so on. So yeah, thank you so much, and hope to see you in the next video.